notice that in myself a lot as well when I'm traveling, for instance, or when things there's specific times that you got to catch your plane or you got to catch your train or whatever it is, and you're running behind or people around you are somehow trying to interfere with that. When you try to fight it and you try to push back against that, it seems like you it's almost like you get out of flow with the universe practically. I know that kind of sounds weird, but it's like it you just almost create your own speed bumps when you start to get in your own way, and you make yourself even more frustrated. And it's such a better feeling to just kind of run with it and just take it in stride, so to speak, and realize that you can't control those uncontrollables, what other people do or how other people act towards you. And I don't, I guess that kind of aligns with Bitcoin, right? Where it's just like, it is what it is. That is it. You're not, if you're fighting against it, you're not going to be successful. You just got to go with it. So,
This ties perfectly into Bitcoin, actually. I just realized it when you said it, because I personally think you don't have a choice in Bitcoin. Like you don't choose to adopt Bitcoin or not to adopt Bitcoin, because it's such a major force. If it is what it is, we think it is. That sentence I think made no sense, but I will let it be. If Bitcoin is what we think it is, then you don't have a choice or say if you adopt it. It's just a matter of when do you adopt it. At some point, you will be forced to adopting it indirectly. And we are now already seeing that there are pension funds that have exposure to Bitcoin. There is the S&P 500 that has companies in them that have Bitcoin. So
yeah.
all those things already come in the way where you don't get to choose if you have Bitcoin. Like, everyone will have direct or indirect exposure to Bitcoin, and those who have direct exposure to Bitcoin will outperform those who have indirect exposure to Bitcoin, and those who have faster direct exposure to Bitcoin will outperform those who have later direct exposure to Bitcoin, and all those things. So I think it ties perfectly in. Don't try to change the environment. See all the things that you can do and opt in first in Bitcoin.
Yeah, man, absolutely. It is, it's as if Bitcoin is a force of nature almost, or I think of it as almost being better, the best protocol we have uh, at being aligned with the natural world as we currently know it. And it, when you can match its output or match its vibration in the universe, you just do so much better and feel so much better and have such a more positive like outlook on life that it I don't know. It's like the physical representation almost of kind of a natural law. You can't fight it because it just isn't going to. You're not going to win. It's not going to do you any good. Bitcoin is what Bitcoin is, and the universe is what the universe is, and you just got to go with the flow. So a lot of people, are in. It's interesting. In recently, I was on a kind of a family vacation, and there was a little tension during this vacation. And it's like the 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 flow was moving along, and a couple of people were like not interested in participating in what was happening, and they kind of made it into something bigger than what it needed to be. And it just strikes me so much that Bitcoin it's here. It's that inevitability word keeps coming to mind. And I tell my wife this too sometimes is you can fight it, but it's going to be here. It's taking over. It is rewriting all of our systems, all of our everything. When Michael Saylor, made the comment about all your models are broken, right? I yeah, I think a lot of people took that as all your financial models are broken and just kind of left it at that. And I think it's all of our models, every system that we've built. I think I was watching Dr. Satoshi on your podcast, and he was talking about the healthcare industry and everything. And it just kind of, again, it clicked with me there that how broken that system is, and how it, like, I don't believe that anyone or any small group of humans got together and said, hey, let's screw everybody over. Let's make everybody fat and sick and unhealthy, or, let's make a lot of people poor, whatever. I think it is a symptom that we're seeing of the systems being built on fiat over the centuries, really, that are now coming to light, and we're all starting to realize that we can make those systems better by changing the base layer of how we communicate the value that we get out of those systems between each other. And I, that's gonna take a long time to work through and underwrite or overwrite all of that work that's been done to build those systems up into what they are today. And I'm yeah, it's just so great.
This is fascinating to think about. Like if you think about what Bitcoin actually will do and how what impact it will have over the long run. Um, by the way, you mentioned it. Do you have ADHD? I mean, if or you're
I
just
have
saying
I
that.
have not been diagnosed with it, but as I am going through life here, getting older, I think it is coming out more. So I don't think I've got a super bad case of it, but like I said, I think it's getting worse and worse. So I I got to talk to my doctor about it.
I mean, there's a lot of Elon Musk. Oh gosh, what he does he has? He also came out with something,
And
but
yeah,
you know about it?
I remember him saying something about it a number of years ago, I believe, but I haven't paid a lot of attention to that. So
Autism. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. ASD, like the autism
yeah.
spectrum disorder. That's different from ADHD. Yeah, yeah. But it's interesting how a lot of great minds actually have what traditional medical people say a illness, a disorder, a sickness, or whatever. I'm like, yeah, like maybe I think you needed to be a little bit crazy to be a genius. Like, take it as a compliment. It's like,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I do believe that there is benefits to all of us, right? Every single one of us, people that have autism or that have ADHD or that have other mental health illnesses aren't, again, the medical system, has learned to try and diagnose that as any. It's like the nail that gets, the every raised nail gets hammered, right? It's this idea that if you don't fit into some quote unquote normal behavior, that something must be wrong with you. And I think Bitcoin is going to help us realize that no, it's not something wrong. It's just people have a different perspective. They have a different view on what the world is around us. And that doesn't make it a disease or an illness that has to be fixed. It just makes it a different perspective. And as society, we've got to learn to better appreciate other people's perspectives. And if it is a issue for that person, if they don't want to be so maybe they call themselves scatterbrained, or they are physically harming themselves or others because of something, then maybe we need to try and help them, right? And instead of labeling them as, you know, schizophrenic or whatever the case is, and I'm probably getting myself in trouble with people in the medical field here for sure, but it isn't every single person, and that holds a different perspective from us doesn't have to be fixed or aligned with what our perspective is. It, we grow as humans, as a civilization, by being able to adopt or adapt to our changing environment. And if others are recognizing something or perceiving the environment differently, it I think it gives us an opportunity to look at it differently as well and try to better align with what is actually going on. So
That's
I don't know.
a it's a very wise viewpoint, I feel like. And one thing that I usually do is asking people before we get started with the topics, but we directly started in with the topics, to give the people an overview of who you are and especially why you're excited about Bitcoin. So maybe you can still do that.
Yeah, sure, Robin. Sorry about that. Thanks for having me on again as well. Yeah, I'm Jason Hagano. I'm a Bitcoiner in Madison, Wisconsin. I have been interested in Bitcoin really since like 2020, 21 for sure is when I fully went down the rabbit hole. I bought, yeah. Anyway, I also am a vice president of a property management company. And so my focus for most of my adult life had been in that apartment field in the multifamily industry. And since finding Bitcoin, my focus is pretty much on Bitcoin, and how Bitcoin is going to, excuse me, how Bitcoin is going to change that system or that industry from the ground up. My wife and I own a couple of small apartment buildings ourselves, and I accept Bitcoin for rent. And currently, out of my 7 units, I've got one renter that is still taking me up on it. Has been now for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in October. Um, and that process is going really, really well. So I couldn't be happier. Uh, it continues to bring me more value and my renter more value. And we do that in a kind of a cool way. I've talked about it before with you, but just so everybody knows, it is they get to recognize a 50% split of any appreciation in the price, in the fiat price of the Bitcoin that they give me for the rent for up to 6 months after they give it to me. And so what that has resulted in is them saving now almost 2 months of rent over the last 2 years. They've saved themselves almost $2,400 just by us having that agreement and them using Bitcoin to pay me. There's, I mean, it's really so simple. It kind of blows my mind that other people aren't doing that yet, but I'm working on trying to get the word out there. So,
I would love to do that. Like I would take you up like in a second. Like why wouldn't I? Why
yeah,
why
right?
wouldn't I just lower my rent with that? Like that it's a
Exactly.
no-brainer.
Yep.
Even if I hate Bitcoin, I would take you up on that offer.
Yeah. Well, it really is kind of it blows my mind that none of my other residents have taken me up on it. Again, I haven't pushed them really hard on it or sat down. I had one that was almost there, and then I think his partner got cold feet and kind of got worried about what was going on. I think there's still some thought out there that people think the government is going to, like, you know, lock us all up and put us in jail if we're using Bitcoin or whatever the case is. But
Which is crazy to think in America when the president is talking about Bitcoin and he's at Bitcoin conferences like that. That's a crazy thought.
yeah, absolutely. But it's there. It's, I think that comes from people's parents. It's again, it is a symptom of our systems. You know, the system has been in place to pay for, to exchange value with the US dollar for so long in the US. And it's a spectrum, and it's just going to take time for people to get more and more comfortable with it.
But get this, like the chief commanding officer of the United States literally says, I love Bitcoin, Bitcoin is great, and all those things. And you think this guy with the executive force that he has will come and arrest you because you have Bitcoin? Like he has to arrest himself then. It makes no sense. Like what? Like if you think that about if you're in China and you think that, I get it. If
Hmm.
you are, I don't know, somewhere else where the government is more hostile towards Bitcoin, I get it better. But in America, like, come on. Like
Yeah.
that's a crazy thought to have. But one thing I'm interested in, you share only the upside or also the downside? Like if they have the downside, they don't have to pay more rent.
Only the upside. On only the upside. There is
They can
no
only
the
win.
yep,
They,
the
they,
down.
they
Yep. Yep. Yeah, the downside is completely up to me, and I deal with that. So yeah, it is only a win-win situation for them. There's no chance for them to lose in this case. So it's
Why the
it's
heck are they
bizarre to
not
me,
doing
man.
it?
Yeah, it is just crazy. I think I keep thinking that I want to, like, go bring a 12 pack of beer over there and sit down with the other residents and just kind of talk them through it. Like I said, one other one was very interested in doing it. They're all, I don't get it. They're all younger. They're all, well, certainly younger than me for sure. They're all in their probably 20s and maybe their early 30s at this point. So, but I I don't know. I think there's still that fear there of putting, you got to take responsibility for your actions when you work in Bitcoin. And if you, although with, companies like Strike and River, I mean, it's getting easier and easier for people to, you know, exchange US dollars or any currency for that matter around the world for Bitcoin at this point. And so, I again, I think it's just a matter of time. I think people will get there. Hopefully, the next time I'm on, I've got a few more success stories to talk about as far as people saving money. So, um, yeah, I'm also working on a plan to move the ownership of that property into a nonprofit status. And so and when I do that, what I want to do is, and it's going to sound crazy, I think, but um, what I want to do is the state of Wisconsin allows nonprofits that own property to run those to not have to pay taxes on it, to be exempt from taxes, from their property taxes. And so what I'm hoping to do is organize that property in a way that allows the ownership group, the nonprofit, to minimize their expenses by getting rid of taxes. And then they're able to basically say, hey, any new renters that come in, you'll come in and pay whatever the market rate rent is at that time. Whether it's up or down, that's what you'll pay. And that is your rent forever, as long as you live in that apartment. My minus, the only downfall would be if taxes or insurance costs or utility costs go up for the common areas, like maintenance of the building. So, I think that will actually start to be able to reduce people's rent over time. And the nonprofit owner will still be quote unquote profitable. I mean, they won't be profitable, but the value of the Bitcoin that their residents are paying will more than offset any costs that they have in maintaining that building going forward. So, when the building needs a new roof or needs new windows, whatever that happens to be, all the Bitcoin that is paid by the residents will go into their reserve account for the building. And that will just be the value of the building going forward. There won't be a fiat value of the building. The nonprofit just owns it and provides the value of a building to their renters, and then is able to, I think, I don't I don't know about you, but when I was renting an apartment, now owning a home, the rent keeps going up. If I could move in somewhere where the rent is guaranteed not to go up, and all I have to do is pay you in Bitcoin in order to make that happen, plus I might save some money, plus the rent might go down over time. It seems to me like that is what I think of a nonprofit organization. That to me is what that should be. It should be bringing the rent down on that building, bringing the and doing so by paying off the mortgage. You bring the fiat value of that building down to zero, and you increase the Bitcoin value of that building by a representation of all of the Bitcoin that has come into it through the rent as the reserve for the building. So, um, yeah, I'm still working on that. I've been in I don't my Bitcoin meetup. Um, Man, I don't. Did I talk to you about Wisco real estate the last time I was on? I don't
I don't
think I
think so.
did.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
So, man, I guess I have had a few changes. So, um, I've been running a local Bitcoin meetup here now for, I don't know, 3 years. I've been a part of it for 4.5 years now. And I guess I say run it. I just kind of help organize it. I don't really, I'm not big into like it's my Bitcoin meetup. It's everybody's Bitcoin meetup. So, but a guy, one of the guys that runs an organization called Wisco Real Estate here, um, saw our meetup, invited me to one of his meetups for the real estate when he was having a Bitcoin guy from Chicago come up and give a talk to all of his real estate investors. And he offered to let me use his space, his office space, for our meetups going forward. And so it's just morphing into this really cool uh collaboration between the two of us. And being that they're in real estate, I'm in real estate, it fits well. And they actually just raised money for a fund where they've got I think it's 30% of the investment in this property is being held in Bitcoin. And so I think it was a month and a half ago where they bought. So they raised whatever they raised. I don't remember what the dollar numbers were, but I remember they bought almost 5 Bitcoin to hold in reserve along with this property. And so any of the investors, yeah, it's kind of like what Grant Cardone's doing, and I think it's becoming more and more popular in the real estate world. And it's people dipping their toes in to be able to share in the value of that Bitcoin appreciation over time. And so I'm able to also kick around this nonprofit idea with them. And the last time, about a month ago, I met with them, had lunch with them, and they brought their CFO along as well. And he's still digesting my idea, my concept, but he thought on paper it looked good. So um, it it may be something that slowly starts to catch on more and more here, is having these nonprofits actually be nonprofits.
And it's super interesting because I think real estate investors, real estate people understand a great asset and why a great asset is a great asset. So I think real estate people in general are primed to understand what Bitcoin is. Thank you for watching this video. This was only a snippet of the podcast. And if you want to watch the full episode and get all of the context of this episode, you can click right here or here. Oh, maybe also here.